Let's talk about Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. They just lost in a brutal way to the Buffalo Bills. They just lost to the Buffalo Bills 27-25. I still do believe that the Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl window is open, but they definitely missed Zay Flowers in tonight's matchup. And Lamar Jackson, he did not have a terrible game, but he did not have his best game to where he put his Superman cape on. Lamar Jackson was 18-25, 254 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 crucial interception, and 1 major fumble. But I look at Mark Andrews here. The game is still close because I can see some people in my comment section. They're going to say you didn't go heavy enough on Justin Herbert the way that you did on Jared Goff. The Justin Herbert situation, he had 4 interceptions in that matchup and he had a pick 6. Jared Goff had 3 interceptions yesterday. He had a pick 6 and he had a fumble. Lamar Jackson did have a major fumble in this matchup. Yes, he did have an interception, but this game was still close. It came down to 2 major plays, even though Lamar Jackson is not blameless in this situation for this loss. And I understand in the past that Lamar Jackson has had bad moments in the postseason. I will get into it. Mark Andrews was wide open on the play. He fumbles the football. The defender punches the football out. That's a crucial turnover because the Ravens now have momentum. Not only just that led to a field goal for the Buffalo Bills. And Mark Andrews later in the game, they go for 2. Lamar Jackson is masterful on that last drive with the Ravens. He's running off platform. He's throwing the football across his body. He's making some big time throws. He's making some big time plays with his legs. Mark Andrews is wide open in the flat. He drops the football. You can't come on here and say that Lamar Jackson is the sole reason to why they lost this game when the game was still close. They were just within 2 points of winning this game, but it wasn't good enough. The fumble, yes, it hurt. The interception, yes, it hurt. But the fumble by Mark Andrews, that is what hurt them in this matchup because it led to 3 points. Not only just that 2-point conversion attempt that they failed on. They had to go for 2 twice in this matchup. They haven't been able to go out there and be successful with their 2-point conversions, even in the regular season against the Steelers. When you have Nick Herbig, who goes out there and blows the play up. The 2-point conversion plays have been very off and on with Todd Monken, but it worked in this game. Mark Andrews just could not come down with the football. And that's not an easy catch. I understand that he's wide open. For an all-pro tight end, you would think that that's an easy catch. It was snowing in Buffalo. The ball is wet. It's hard to go out there and come down with the football. But when you look at Mark Andrews, I'm not going to come on here and say that he's garbage. It should have been Isaiah Likely in that situation because that's really messed up. Mark Andrews has been Mr. Consistent with this team when he's been fully healthy. And he has given the Baltimore Ravens all that he can. But in little moments like that, you have to step up. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to step up in tonight's matchup when they needed him the most. That's the truth about tonight's matchup against the Buffalo Bills. Give the Buffalo Bills their credit. I don't want to come on here in this video and say, well, they didn't have Zay Flowers. That's why they lost this matchup. They didn't have this player. That is me coming on here and just spewing Bills hate. The Buffalo Bills, they did more to win this game. Josh Allen went out there. Josh Allen did not turn the football over. In the past, Josh Allen has been viewed as a quote-unquote turnover machine. In this game, 0 interceptions, 0 fumbles. While Lamar Jackson had a crucial interception and he had a fumble in this matchup where he's dancing around the pocket. And you saw a lot of that in tonight's matchup with the Ravens because the receivers could not get open. The defensive players did a terrific job of the wide receivers with the Baltimore Ravens. They played a lot of press man coverage. Lamar Jackson had to bounce around, pat onto the football. Lamar Jackson did do enough to win them this game late in the game. Now, you guys can disagree with that, but I believe that Lamar played better in this matchup than he did last year in the AFC Championship game against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And that matchup, he had a crucial interception. He throws the football into triple coverage. It goes for an interception last year. Zay Flowers had a fumble in the red zone area. And Zay Flowers got penalized for 15 yards because he was showboating when he pushed the defensive player back down. It seems like the Baltimore Ravens cannot catch a break in the postseason. In the defense, they had good moments. I understand that James Cook, he went out there, he was wearing down on the defense. The defense has been up and down all season long in terms of their secondary. When I look at the Ravens, their Super Bowl window is still open. But I don't know if they will ever be able to win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson in terms of them going out there and having these miscues. It's just like random things pop up for the Baltimore Ravens at the worst time. We saw this in the regular season with Justin Tucker regressing. Then on the back half of the season, he performed better. He looked like how he used to look many years ago or even the season before. When I look at the Ravens, you can't have those miscues. You can't have those dumb penalties either. That adds up to yards in the postseason. And as you saw today, it hurt them. It put them behind the 8-ball. Now, when you talked about the MVP conversation, the postseason has nothing to do with the regular season. I still do believe that Lamar Jackson was the league MVP. You could say Josh Allen. I wouldn't disagree with that. But at the same time, when I look at the numbers for Lamar Jackson, he played like an MVP all season long. Sure, he had a bad game here or there. You may say the Steelers had his number in the first matchup. It came down to missed field goals by Justin Tucker. It came down to Justice Hill. He puts the football in his hands. It goes for an interception because of Peyton Wilson. That is not on Lamar Jackson the entire time. That fumble did hurt them in tonight's matchup. I will definitely give you that because it led them right to scoring range. And I'm talking about the Buffalo Bills here. But the game was still close. When I look at the defensive players that they have, even with Mike McDonald moving on, and he went over to become the head coach with the Seattle Seahawks, I feel like their defensive coordinator right now, Zachary Orr, has done a decent job with figuring things out. They don't have bad defensive players on their roster. You see Calvin Noy. Calvin Noy this year was their leading sack leader. You have Matabuke, who's a very good defensive lineman, can stop the run, can get to the quarterback. You have Owe, who is also another good pass rusher. You have Nate Wiggins, who is a young emerging corner in this league. Kyle Hamilton, I can't say enough great things about him as a defensive player. As a versatile defensive player, he may be the best in this league in terms of moving around in the secondary. But Zachary Orr is not a secondary-oriented guy. He's a former linebacker. He coaches through the front seven. So their secondary this year, it took a hit. A lot of that is because of miscommunication on the back end with Kyle Hamilton, with Brandon at the cornerback position, with Marlon Humphrey. And Marlon Humphrey had a solid year this year. He had the most interceptions this season in his career. And I will say this, just because you're racking up a lot of interceptions doesn't mean that you're having a very good year. That means that you're getting targeted a lot. But I feel like he held on to his own at the end of the season. And you still have Roquan Smith, who is the best interior linebacker in this league right now. Just unfortunately for the Baltimore Ravens, they just couldn't capitalize on the key plays. And that has been a constant theme with this team over the last few years with Lamar Jackson. But for me to just come on here and say that this loss is all on Lamar Jackson, it's not. Just like last year against the Kansas City Chiefs, it wasn't all on Lamar Jackson. The quarterback does get majority of the blame when the team loses, and he gets majority of the praise when the team wins. But I look at Lamar Jackson, the last two playoff losses, they haven't all been on him. Could he have played better? Yes. And you can say that for every quarterback in this league. But I felt like he did enough in tonight's matchup to at least push his game into overtime. And that's all that you can ask for. Maybe I'm wrong about that. You guys can let me know in the comment section below. But I feel like the Baltimore Ravens will be okay. This is a gut puncher to lose against the Buffalo Bills in this fashion. But I expect for the Baltimore Ravens to bounce back. It's only so much that they can do with this roster anyway. You went out there, you added in one of the best running backs in the league since he's been drafted in Derrick Henry. You saw Todd Monken. He reverted back to the run game in the second half. I will say this about Todd Monken. When Derrick Henry gets bottled up for a drive or two, he'll go away from the run game. You can't do that. That is what you did last year against the Chiefs. You went away from the run game way too soon. You feed that man in the backfield. Even last year, they had a top rushing offense, and you forgot how to run the football. And I understand the Kansas City Chiefs are controlling the line of scrimmage. So what? You have those big bullies up front. Look at what you did last week against the Steelers. You ran that football down their throat on a consistent basis. You had an entire drive to where you ran the football over and over and over again. You made those guys tap out. And even when they submitted on the field, you continue to run the football with Derrick Henry. And I understand not every defensive front is going to be the same. You're going to run into situations to where you may not be able to run the football on a consistent basis. That's when you integrate the legs with Lamar Jackson. That's when you use his legs. That's when you use a lot of motion going down the field to open guys up. And I'm not blaming this loss on Todd Monken. This is a group effort here. Even when the defense, and they're having those dumb penalties. When they're having those big plays that are being given up on the back end, they have to play as a unit. I feel like it's too many times to where the Baltimore Ravens, they're saying, hey, Lamar Jackson, go save us. And this is even before Todd Monken. This was the case with Greg Roman. I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan, but I will also come out and be truthful. Inside the pocket, Lamar Jackson doesn't have the pocket presence to operate like a Patrick Mahomes, to operate like a Joe Burrow. That's not his game. Lamar Jackson is a smooth passer. You don't get 41 passing touchdowns on accident. But that's not his game on a consistent basis. He's not a consistent drop back quarterback. You have to move him around. You have to give him the run game. And it's okay to admit that. It's not me saying that Lamar Jackson is not a top quarterback in this league. Statistically, he was the best quarterback in the regular season this year by far. But when I look at the Baltimore Ravens, this is why you brought in Derrick Henry. This is why you bring in those backup running backs to establish that run. And in tonight's matchup, they depended too much on Lamar Jackson. It's complementary football, even with Patrick Mahomes and his first Super Bowl that he won against the San Francisco 49ers. Very good quarterback play. They depended on the run game to get them over the top. That's all I'm saying. But when I look at the Baltimore Ravens, I empathize with their fan base. I really do. And I'm not a Ravens fan. Far from it. But to see them run to the same problems year after year, something has to change. And you have to execute better. A coach can't go out there and be blamed for turnovers. A coach can't go out there and he can't be blamed for the fact that you're dropping the ball on 2-point conversion attempts. The players have to play better. Lamar Jackson should not turn the football over with a fumble, with an interception. So I don't feel like this is all on Coach Harbaugh either. Like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, this is a group effort. This is on everyone. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Baltimore Ravens, and do you put all of this blame on Lamar Jackson? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.